As part of the digitalization journey, I personally would probably put into every organization within a company software engineers.
Welcome to a brand new episode of our podcast, Human and AI, Mind, Machines, and the Gradient Descent.
Thanks for tuning in again to geek out with us over the fascinating field of AI and the role of human. Today, we're delighted to welcome Roger Meier, the principal key expert for digital transformation. Roger strongly believes that collaboration across organizational boundaries is key, and he lives by this principle with a great passion for open source, which is also the reason why he created the internal social coding platform Siemens.com. That already sounds super inspiring. Can't wait to hear more about you and your story and the projects that you're running. So let's get this episode started. Roger, welcome to Human and AI, and thanks so much for taking some time today to join our little show. How are you and where do we catch you today?
Thanks a lot for inviting me. I feel pretty good. Going to this weekend to my hometown with my kids. My wife's staying at home. I'm wearing shorts, t-shirt, flip-flops, maybe going to the lake swimming. So working with an awesome team, the best I ever worked with. So all pretty much fine. And yeah, I'm somehow maybe a little Glückspilz or lucky devil.
Oh man, that sounds nice, right? Summer is approaching. I guess, right? It feels almost, it sounds a bit like new normal. Normal, actually, right? So being curious. Roger, great to have you, right? I think you have more followers on GitLab as on Twitter. I don't know what that means. But you also refer to yourself to be a committer for 11 years. What do you mean by that? Is there any, if you reflect a bit on your personal, lost career steps, any personal bugs or features in your life you can share with us?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's 11 years, to be honest. I just remember somehow in 2010, I made the github.com Siemens account. And also in the past, I did a lot of contributions to a lot of open source software. So some of the open source software is already on another planet with the Mars helicopter, for example. I've done a lot of things. So my name's Buffer Overflow on those coding platforms such as GitHub and GitLab. So feel free to check the things there. So a lot of great stuff we did within Siemens, sometimes also in spare time, of course. And yeah, personally, of course, I'm full of bugs. I'm far away from being perfect, like all the human beings, I would say. And that's why I like to have peer reviews and have cool teammates, so exchanging and so on. And yeah, even with my bugs, I'm in love with me, and so therefore able to be in love with others. And today, I'm probably more a family man. I have a wife, I have kids, I have a house, I have a garden. I have some friends since the kindergarten. Yeah. But maybe in the past, when I was 20, I spent all my money for skydiving, snowboarding, doing party and vacation. Yeah. Holy moly, fuck. This was a great time, mate.
Skydiving? Like jumping out of airplane?
Yeah. This
Why
is
not?
awesome. You have to feel it, I can tell you. It's
Your current role is the principal for digital transformation, right? So was it your goal to become that? And what are you aiming for in that transformation process?
yeah. I somehow have been grown into that position, of course, over the years, getting more visibility and so on. And yeah, it's a title at the end. I guess the most important thing is how do you act within the organization. So for me, digital transformation is automating things, integrating systems via API, improve every day how you're working, change the things on how you worked maybe in the past, throw things away you did a few years ago, and then do it different, do it better, and yeah. And of course, it's about people. It's at the end, it's software engineering and digital transformation is a people thing. It's a supporting function. Digitalization is supporting us. So how can we avoid manual tasks like filling forms or something that can a machine do, or how can we integrate the machines and systems in a much better way? So to get rid of manual work or duplicated work across the organization. So maybe those are a little bit the things I'm focusing on. Yeah.
But I mean, you're a software geek, right? So you're coming from a software development perspective, right? And if you look on the transformation, the first thought I was like, there's a buzz around adaptive organizations, right? And I mean, adaptive and agile organizations, right? Large orgs, crazy, right? But in the open source world, which maybe your side, right? We have the concept of merge and fork, right? And merge requests, changing enhancements or proposing, setups or forks, further development and splitting stuff. Right? How can you somehow relate, the methodology, the concepts out of software development cycle, right, for the organizational setup as well, right? Making it concept-based, split, merge, enhancing, or enforcing, right, certain aspects. Can you relate something from organizational development to software development and vice versa?
That's a very good question. Maybe. Yeah, first of all, I would say change is the rule. So all the things changing continuously, the job I've learned doesn't exist anymore. So I think in the open source world, you have the transparency. Also, when we're applying the open source patterns in-house using the inner source principle, so sharing code internally, it's about transparency. And having transparent decision taking, that of course people can discuss open and transparent on decisions. So we do this within the core team. So all the Siemens employees can have a look at how we are coming to conclusions within the team, for example, and can comment on our decisions we're gonna take. For example, we are applying kind of this within the core team. So we've introduced the very early days the meritocracy principle. So people getting voted into the core team by the existing teams. So that's something somehow how we apply those principles a little bit within our team. Of course, also having job interviews together with the team members. So at the end, you need some kind of a very good team fit, and maybe not this something you see, of course, in some areas that people maybe. Organizations do not take care enough on the people fit and people match.
Yeah, but that goes in a bit of the, already in the software culture aspect, right? In agile software methodology, we have, like Scrum, we have the concept of self-selection, right? By letting the team pitch and select each other based on the capabilities, and also maybe, and actually important, the aspirations to grow, right? You don't have to be perfect in something, but you need to raise the attention. I want to grow in that. How do you shape that kind of open source culture in the community, right? In Siemens? You mentioned already self-selection. So you have a steering, or is it consensus decision making? How are then this decision being made, right? It's like, there is this elite, right, group of folks where they're like, you are a decent software developer and you're not, or you have to at least commit, to thousands of projects in order to participate. How do you do that?
it's a content we're finding and discussing within the team. Of course, we have a lot of chats also, but maybe some people from the outside world maybe see when we are discussing within the core team on topics that hey, they are in a fight. They have some personal disagreements and so on. But this is only a technical discussion, and we are separating, let's say, the technical discussion or of a specific topic and the personal relationship. So if you have a very good, and that's why the people aspect is that important, if you have a good personal relationship, it's easy to also having strong conversations on a specific particular technical thing to come then to a common conclusion and having more people involved. Of course, you can't discuss endless, but in I would say in all the cases I had before on the major decisions also for the platform and so on, we came to a common conclusion. And this is, of course, also requires to have a common long-term goal, vision, the team agrees on and is fully committed, so you can forget about the micromanagement and the little task planning thingy, because the people knows what's important, where to go and why. And then you can focus more on the technical discussions and do real collaboration. And having that feedback culture in place, that transparency helps you to become better and better and better. And we do, for example, if something went wrong on code.siemens.com, for example, because of dependencies, because of an issue on our side or whatever, we do create post-mortem reports. So we exactly describe why this happened, what was the trigger, what we've learned, what are the follow-up actions, and so on. So we're somehow in a continuous improvement cycle and in an open collaboration as humans within a team.
Okay. But, so you addressed it already, right? I've known you also from the drivers of the code.siemens.com. Come give us and the audience a bit of a stats, right, in the journey. What the heck is code.siemens.com and why this matters?
It's a social coding platform we're running internally for Siemens and Siemens business partners that are working on behalf of us. So we have 45,000 registered users at the moment, so about 12 million API requests a day, 200,000 builds or deployment jobs are executed by the projects per day. We've established an in-house community across the company where people help each other, so collaborate and share code internally. And it's just awesome to have such a vibrant community in-house established. Yeah, and how it started, you were asking as well, the journey. So it was at my department at Building Technologies in Zug, and we developed during that time CPU modules to be used within several product lines running Linux, and Git was the thing used in the open source world. And we've been contributing to many open source projects and handling patch sets and so on. And after complaining, I got the okay to introduce that for BT, and then we established BT GitLab. I shared some details on social network. Hey, we have something for us. That's cool, but it would be really nice to have code.siemens.com. And just imagine, I had only one like on that post. And later, a little bit later, at the Siemens Digitalization Day, our former CTO said, "There is no backup team. You must make it happen." And then I thought, hey, you're right. If you're not gonna do it, it will never happen. So then just made code.siemens.com out of this department GitLab without commitment of global funding and so on. later on, we got that global funding. I had to inform my boss, of course, then afterwards, and said, sorry, it is so important. I just had to do it. And then we got a lot of fans.
The golden rule in large corporates: do it right now, apologize later, right? Isn't it?
Exactly. And focus on your customers. And in our case, this is the developers. We have thousands of developers serving them day by day. And our basic principle is still the same: for developers, from developers.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
But Roger, there's also, like, next to adaptive and agile, there's also another buzzword out there. It's DevOps. And I think it's one of the hottest buzzwords in tech currently, right? But it's more than just buzz. Can you maybe explain quickly what is DevOps actually about and which problem does it actually address?
Yeah, maybe you might have seen the DevOps symbol already, and this is basically an infinity loop. It's the symbol of infinity, and so the question is at the end, how long does it take to go through the cycles? And typically you talk about plan, code, build, test, release, deploy, operate, monitor, and of course then start again with the plan. So the speed is the thing, and if you automate, and that's digitalization or how you name it, how fast can you deliver, let's say, a bug fix? Are you able to do one of those loops within 24 hours or within 3 hours or within 2 hours to ship faster, ship better, improve, have better testing and so on? Do you change your plan? Let's say if you have customer feedback, do you change your plan and ship another feature in an earlier stage and so on, and set the priorities right? So it's a continuous improvement process, I would say, especially focused on software engineering discipline. And of course, you have different stakeholders there as well. And then you can extend it, and people talking about biz DevOps or sec DevOps and so on to give a little bit more focus on other topics. I would say at the end, it's about the feedback, the cycle speed you have, including customer, of course, customer feedback and all those things all together, and having people from multiple disciplines working and acting together as a team. I would say that's the thing that really matters from my perspective in regard of DevOps, or however you name it.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the speed aspect, especially like in a time where the only thing certain is change, and also like incorporating different perspectives to make that bug fix or the adaptation also right. Maybe we should also talk a little bit about AI and machine learning, right? The open publication like Archive, but also open source movement have pushed significant advances in recent years. And I guess one of the major drivers is the deep learning revolution. So what's your view on the AI and machine learning community? Do you see any touch points?
Of course, open source is the innovation driver, I would say. Also helps really to scale AI technology across the globe. We have many people within the Siemens AI and machine learning folks that are power users of our platform. So we're collaborating, they're contributing also to our documentation and so on, and interacting also with other folks at the community. And the cool thing, that the core technology is typically open source in the AI world, but a lot of the trained models where people do often contribute without explicit consent, are closed, and I'm not a big fan of that personally. It's a bit like not sharing information or education people with existing knowledge of the society. So let's say over the years we learned a lot about things and sharing knowledge across the society, and yeah, maybe we need somehow, or it might exist, I don't know, something like a Wikipedia for the AI world, and yeah.
But I think there's quite some more movement, right? You have this awesome contribution from Google on TensorFlow on the development IDEs, right? You have this awesome contribution also, to be honest, from Facebook, right, with PyTorch. You have Keras, which now are quite in Google in there. But on the other side, not only the large organization, but there's a super interesting company which is called Hugging Face, which contributes large-scale language models. And this includes not only transformer architecture, so a bit of the Cody style, which released to open source, but also the model itself. So there is a tendency also releasing the language model itself. Not every company, obviously, right? And I guess we're talking in GPT-3 in a second, but to release also the models on open source, right?
That's really cool.
Yeah. And one question is obviously it's that there's still a huge track, especially in industry in machine learning, is that maybe 80% of those models don't make it in production, right? We have hard time scaling AI capabilities because we need to include that in the software development process somehow, right?
Yeah.
And it ain't that easy. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I guess there we need HI, human intelligence, and
what is that? Automation,
collaboration and HI. So yeah, maybe as part of the digitalization journey, I personally would probably put into every organization within a company software engineers to automate, to focus on the software engineering aspects. And I guess also the collaboration of software engineers, data analysts, and so on is a very important part here to really make the things, to productize the things. So having those, let's say, DevOps infinity loop to improve, test, and so on, and so that one role is, of course, tuning the models. The other one also operability, monitor capabilities, and so on, and how to really bring that to production and productize. So I guess it's a multidiscipline work here, and at the end, it needs a strong collaboration of software engineers and data scientists to really to productize machine learning technologies properly, I would say.
Yeah, true. So bringing the software engineers more earlier in already the phase of proof of concepts, right? Is that one of the
yes,
things?
Of course. Yeah. So you see, could it work in larger scale, and or is it a theoretical model? We can how can we apply it? How many GPUs do I need for one single calculation? How much does it cost when I scale this up as a business? Can I run it on-prem, for example, if I want to do, let's say, predictive maintenance, monitoring within physical environments where you have to be independent from cloud providers, for example.
So speaking of GPT users or GPU users, right? We've tested actually most recently, actually quite nice in hackathon fashion, a bit on the GPT, so OpenAI's GPT capabilities on language modeling, but especially for code generation, automatic code generation, code completion, and code validation. Actually, pretty cool thing. So it seems to be like also machine learning hits the software development toolkits. There was also most recently a new feature proposed actually in the Microsoft suite on on the code monitoring and code completion. Do you have any thoughts on automation and the usage of ML in the software development process? And maybe also some views on GPT?
Yeah, GPT-3. Interesting there, maybe. OpenAI was a non-profit organization. GPT-2 was open source. Now GPT-3 is closed source. They switched from non-profit to profit organization. So the organization is still named OpenAPI, not renamed to Closed AI. But that's another story. Coming back to your question, I think software development process, the technologies that are available in software development are very mature in many areas. So the quality of compilers, linters, test suites, tooling, and all those things are very advanced, and it could make sense in some area maybe to add additional machine learning technologies on top. But I would say if you stick with the best practices or best class software engineering things, this is a top add-on you can then do to further improve. But I would say just do the best practice in software development in a good way, and you're ready to ship at the moment.
Already okay. Yeah. So rather picking up on the best practices already, what can do? No technology upgrade. On the other side, if you listen to, I don't know, 3 years ago, Andrew Carpathy, he leads and drives the autonomous driving and AI at Tesla. He had this notion, a small blog post actually on Software 2.0, right, 2.0, about that we enter a bit of a different paradigm, especially in software development, and that my interpretation, it's like a data-centric, software development, because in the traditional aspects, you formalize explicit some kind of code base, right, which then you throw on top of some kind of inference or on data to be right. And with machine learning, you swap the paradigm and say, like, actually the data writes a bit of, at least initiates the parameter space and writes somehow the code, right, or to be used. So that means actually when we deal with machine learning, right, we need a bit of a different setup in interacting with data. And so I think the proposition was for me is like, hey, we need to revamp software IDEs to be totally data-centric, right? Labeling, tagging, validation, slicing, visualizing. These kinds of aspects are should be much more closer to the code structure. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say data-centric software development is not only relevant, let's say, in the fields in relation with AI, machine learning. It's a general topic in software development area. I would say it's you have data models, data all over. It's for me let's say having standardized descriptions of data models or kind of contracts, especially if you have distributed systems, how to exchange data. So as you typically have distributed software systems, so what kind of data, so understanding each other, let's say. If you use modern APIs or let's say have distributed systems as we develop since decades within Siemens, the data exchange and the data models you use are essential. And then of course, on those data models and are driven by patterns on the data models you've agreed upon, there can be applied a lot of things, let's say from an AI, or even in some cases you can do it with simple logic. But having the data and having the data thinking within the mind of people is probably where we should start for that journey. Yeah.
So, Roger, for us at Siemens, so industrial AI is quite a important topic. So, meaning that we apply machine learning technologies in real world physical application scenarios. But how can open source maybe help us towards the aspect that industrial AI is about industrial grade, robust, sustainable, and secure AI? Or do you think that is contradicting?
I'd say it's not contradicting. We're in good shape, and it's not a hype topic. It's, of course, we can and we do already apply in multiple fields AI, let's say monitoring, quality assurance, and process optimizations, and based on a lot of open source software stacks with some additional domain knowledge on the models itself.
But I mean, is the natural reflection? I think if you talk to a mid manager, right, and it's like, hey, have you considered, pushing those kinds of capabilities to open source? He's like, hell no, right? We need to be robust. They need to be secure. If everybody knows, right, how we do it, ain't gonna, they will hack us. Can you any argument against it? Why we still should go open source?
At the end, it's a part. Let's say the core technology is open source. The combination then of the product, let's say, combined with our domain expertise, with the trained model for, let's say, quality assurance or monitoring of specific aspects, is then the brain we bring in as a company and providing value with this. And we can't rebuild all those things by ourselves. We have to use open source software to accelerate and to innovate. There's no way around. Of course, taking care on what to contribute, what to keep in-house. This should be a decision to be taken, let's say, per piece of software, or and not as a global statement, of course. But I'm sure maybe some colleagues are already thinking about doing AI-based automation and stuff like this, beside of the, let's say, simpler fields like monitoring, quality assurance, and then process optimization.
Yeah, so my rationale is always, if managers somehow go and say like, okay, let's put that on open source. If they think like, okay, here's the bunch of developers out there and they do this stuff for free, right? But this ain't the way, right? How it's working. I said, like, if you are state of the art and you want to stay state of the art, right, go open source. But if you're not yet open state of the art, right, in terms of contribution, right, there's no reason going open source, right? Because you need to add something, I think, to the community. Or
definitely, and you need, of course, if you go open source, you need to push it actively. You have to maintain it. You have to, of course, promote it. So to get other people on board using your software project and so on. And at the end, it's a question also on what's your focus, where to be in a driver's seat, where to say, that framework is good enough. I'll reuse that and focus on other topics where I can create business value based on my expertise, knowledge, and so
on. Right. Roger, so I would be also super interested to know, because we're like in a large scale company like Siemens, and we're striving towards more digitalization, software development, competencies. And where do you see us today? How can we as a company enter the next level, and what need to happen? What maybe would you say are the top 5 skills that are really needed here?
Collaboration and social skills. So that's, I would say, number one from my perspective, that people are really able to collaborate and interact with each other. Second one, willingness to learn new things every day. As change is the rule, so we really have to be adaptive, everyone, because tomorrow things are different. The third one, team player. So we don't need individual artists. Of course, it's cool to have individual artists in some areas, but at the end, we have to act as team players. So otherwise, it's a team player game, software development. That's the thing. Third skill, creativity, I would say, with open mindset. So thinking out of the box. So maybe look at things from a totally different perspective and to come to better new ideas. And maybe as a fifth skill, I would say, being ready to rework things, optimize things, and maybe throw things away you've spent months 2 years ago, because now there might be something better and just use that one.
Well, thanks so much. That really sounds like good advice. And but Roger, we're already at the final question now, so time's flying. And you've gained tons of experience. You've pushed bold initiatives, and we see there's a passion inside you also for the open source movement. What are some key lessons that you can maybe share with our audience out there that want to make a difference in companies like Siemens?
Doing is much more important than talking about things we could do. Then maybe, do not tell people what they want to hear. I think tell them what you personally think and be authentic. And the third one, if you do not feel comfortable and happy with your team or your job, change it. The life is too short. You must like what you do with passion.
Beautiful. What a wonderful end to this session. And because you mentioned authentic and authenticity, that leads us perfectly to the final part of this podcast episode. It has been awesome having you as a guest. But before we finish up, we want to play Authentic Autocomplete with you. So let me give you for the closing a couple of sentence starters and you will just finish. Roger, are you ready?
Yes.
Perfect. So let's start. Siemens is
a cool company with amazing people doing world-class engineering.
Amazing. AI Ops is
a must-have.
I agree. With which person would you instantiate a merge request?
I did with my wife. I have 2 wonderful kids, so I'm done.
That's a good answer. COVID has taught me
getting rid of unnecessary traveling. People became more humans instead of robots. So it's okay having dogs barking during a live meeting call or whatever. Kids are crying. We are humans.
Yeah, that's so true. And last but not least, and it's quite a difficult one, but I'm sure you will do a great job on this. If I could invent a rule for everyone in the world to follow, it would be?
You have to be nice with each other and respectful, inclusive, and careful. Also with the planet. Embrace diversity and have fun.
No, that's a nice closing, right? That's a good statement. Hey, Roger, thanks so much for spending a bit of time with us, talking about of the needs of software culture and software competences, the challenge of DevOps, and what it actually means, right? Shaping a software-centric culture in large organizations. So we highly appreciate your time and that you made it in our little podcast show.
Thanks a lot, Uli and Arbery. It was a pleasure to be here talking with you.
And folks out there, stay tuned. There's a lot more to come, right? We're coming now from software to the next aspects, why it's important and how to shape an AI-first culture in our corporation. And stay tuned, stay bold, committed, and open-minded. And we hear us at the next Siemens-internal podcast. Cheers.